Alright, I figured out the issue, why the bullets weren't going towards, the enemy bullets weren't going towards the player. So if you select your enemy bullet, make sure that set angle is set unchecked. Make sure that it is not checked. So when it's unchecked, we could press play and we could see that the enemy does indeed fire towards the player, making the game much more difficult. So, a couple last things to do. We're going to go back to our event sheet, and we are going to add an event for the player on collision with another object, and we are going to select the enemy bullet. And just like the player colliding with the enemy plane, we're going to add another condition for the player called is flashing, and we are going to right click that and invert it. We're going to add an action, a system action called subtract from, and we are going to subtract 10 from the player health, and we are going to add an action for the player called flash, and we are going to make the player flash for 3 seconds. So now that we have events where the player is getting hurt, we have to make an event for when the player dies. So we're going to make a system event called compare variable, and we're going to see if player health is less than or equal to 0. And now this is just in case a bullet makes the player health skip 0 and go into the negatives. So this is just as a precaution, so that the player will definitely die when the health is 0. So player health is less than or equal to 0. We're going to add an action for the player, and it's going to be destroy. So let's look at the game that we have. We have the player able to move around all around the screen, can shoot the enemies. Enemies can shoot back, and they will shoot at the player directly. When the enemy shoots the player flashes and loses health. If the player collides with an enemy, the player loses health. When the player shoots the enemy, there's an explosion. If the player, I should say, picks up the power-up, the player can shoot 2 bullets. And the health and score are shown at the top of the screen. So, make sure to look at Moodle to see what your assignment is. But this is a very basic version of Airplane Assault.